Remember the N-Gage? It was Nokia's attempt at a gaming handheld smartphone hybrid and one of the biggest flops in the tech industry. I mean, that thing sucked. You had to take out the battery to change games, it was underpowered, the aspect ratio was asinine, you had to put it sideways against your head to use it as a cell phone, like an idiot. And the controls? Oh boy. Imagine playing something like Tomb Raider on this thing. Actually, I'll do you one better. Imagine playing The Elder Scrolls on this thing. Well, you don't have to imagine, because today we're taking a look back at The Elder Scrolls Travels Shadowkey, a fully 3D RPG developed by Virtual Studios and published by our beloved Bethesda back in 2004. This game is actually pretty damn good, given Bethesda's track record with mobile-only releases. Despite the technical limitations imposed by the N-Gage, manages to provide a very immersive and engaging experience. What a great pun that was. Anyway, let's see what Shadowkey is all about. Shadowkey's story is pretty interesting, despite its smaller scale and scope. Hell of a lot better than what Oblivion or Skyrim tried to do with their stories. The game takes place around the borders of Skyrim, Hammerfell and High Rock, with a greater emphasis being placed on Hammerfell for the majority of the plot. You play as a random villager living in Azra's Crossing who must now defend it from marauders intending to burn it to the ground. This little skirmish though is but a small part in a darker and more sinister plot for world domination. It turns out Jaeger Farn, the villain from the Elder Scrolls Arena, is behind all this, with his ultimate goal being to harness the power of the Shadowkeys and the Star Teeth to control the being known as Umbra Keth, a twisted abomination also called the Shadow of Conflict, created by the raging war of Bendermac between the three aforementioned provinces. Your mission as the hero everyone expects you to be is to properly digest all the lore being thrown at you and collect all the Shadowkeys and Star Teeth so you can stand a chance against Umbra Keth, who looks like a mutated Nixhound. I know what you're probably thinking. All this lore and intricate storytelling just for a glorified fetch quest? Well yeah, it's an Elder Scrolls game. Did you expect anything better? Despite its rudimentary nature, there are many cool concepts here that expand upon the game's world design, such as shadow magic, alternate timelines, the ice tribes, and an ancient alien airship that harvests stars. Sounds like Morrowind lore craziness, right? But such elements manage to enrich the game's plot and immerse you in its world and inhabitants. At the end of the day, you feel like a small part in a larger conflict, trying your best to make a difference and defeat otherworldly creatures with impossible odds, and that's pretty badass in my book. Presentation-wise, it's difficult to judge Shadowkey objectively. At first glance, the game looks like crap. The resolution is way too low, the models are incredibly basic, and the draw distance is more akin to a Unity horror game than an Elder Scrolls title. However, I'd consider this game as nothing less than an absolute technical marvel. Why? Because the N-Gage is an underpowered piece of shit being able to barely handle 3D graphics. And yes, this is a fully 3D game, none of that Wolfenstein raycasting shit. The environments are full of mountainous regions with varying elevations. Dungeons and houses are decorated with 3D models, and even the characters themselves are 3D, although they barely resemble anything whatsoever. You can even jump and climb up those mountains, Skyrim style. As far as locations go, there is a lot of variety too. Villages, forests, dungeons, icy plains, crypts, everything you would expect from a classic role-playing experience is here. Granted, some sprites have been reused from Daggerfall, the animations are choppy, and most of the landscapes are the same, just with different colors. Also worth noting is that I'm playing this game on an emulator. On original hardware, things are much worse, and by that I mean a single-digit frame rate. But still, it's damn impressive what they managed to do with such limited hardware. As far as the music goes, I don't have much to say, and that's because we just took Morrowind's ambient music and slapped it on, without much regard. Is it weird and doesn't fit the tone of the game? Yeah. Do I really mind though? No, I don't. I'd be crazy to not want more Morrowind in my life. But you know what? Shadowkey is just as good. With its charming early 3D graphics and low draw distance, it manages to create an atmospheric experience that will without a doubt hook you in. The Elder Scrolls was never a series touted for its amazing gameplay, but for its engrossing world design and freedom of choice. Shadowkey's odds were stacked against it, having to juggle the N-Gage's hardware with the complex mechanics of an Elder Scrolls title. But it manages to overcome those odds and deliver a very enjoyable experience, with little to no sacrifices. First up, we have the character creation. All your favorite make a return, except for orcs and imperials, with each one having their unique traits and abilities. You can also choose from a variety of different preset classes to better accommodate your playstyle of choice. Unfortunately, you cannot create your custom class like in the main titles, which is fine by me, since Shadowkey's mechanics are much simpler and straightforward. Starting the game, you are armed with a basic dagger, a firebolt spell that you can only use if you are magically inclined, and a single health potion. The controls are fairly simple. You can change between equipped weapons, spells, and potions with their respective keys, then use the specified keys to attack or drink a potion. You can also move in all cardinal directions, but since each different direction has its own key and you need to control the camera as well, you'll be stuck with your basic time control scheme. Thankfully, the game's action isn't intense enough to warrant more precise movements, as enemies are slow and almost lethargic in their attacks. They deal a lot of damage though, so you need to play it safe, either abusing your bow or your long-range spells to deal with them. But of course, this is an RPG, so you can buy and sell stuff at your local vendors, complete quests, earn experience, and level up your stats. Yeah, the classic Elder Scrolls system of leveling up via training your skills isn't here, and you know what? I'm glad they used a more traditional leveling system. Boo me all you want, but they never got that system right. It's just shitty micromanaging, plain and simple. Anyway, it wasn't the combat that made me love Shadowkey. The controls are clunky, the aiming is unresponsive, and the collisions make no sense. No, it was the game's sense of scale and freedom that made me adore it. There is a vast, fully realized open world available for you to explore, filled to the brim with characters to talk to, optional missions to complete, and dungeons to explore. And those dungeons aren't small either. They're huge, maze-like structures with multiple sprawling corridors. There is a map to make your navigation a bit easier, but its lack of any proper indication doesn't help when you have to find your way out of them. After a while though, I was fully immersed in the game's world and was doing the classic Elder Scrolls thing where you just wander around in a random direction, seeing what you can find. I know it sounds silly because you can barely see 2 feet in front of you thanks to the game's draw distance, but I was really captivated by Shadowkey's world. The gameplay loop is solid, the role-playing elements are just as complex as they need to be for a handheld game, and there is so much to do and see in this wonderfully crafted open world. Yeah, the combat is janky as hell, just like in every other Elder Scrolls title, but what can you do? You'll probably end up playing as a ranger anyway, pelting your enemies with arrows and spells, as they're very slowly trying to approach you, just like Todd Howard intended. The Elder Scrolls Travels Shadowkey is a great game stuck on terrible hardware. If you can look past its underwhelming presentation and gross technical limitations, you'll enjoy a lovely little gem. There is a huge world for you to explore, an interesting story to delve into, and lots of quests and dungeons to scratch that role-playing itch. If only they could reverse engineer it or even remake it in a newer engine, like with Daggerfall Unity, that would be amazing. Even so, it's still worth your time, and I'm sure you'll have a great time exploring its secrets, on your own or with a friend, since this game supports co-op play via Bluetooth. How crazy is that? Anyway, I think that's all I had to say about the Elder Scrolls Travels Shadowkey. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more stuff. You know how it goes. Have a great day, and until next time, take care and have fun.